People with security cameras, what is the creepiest thing you've caught on video? A neighbor walking by, which he does every day, and realizing the cameras were being installed, CCTV van, etc. Next day on his walk by, he stands still and just looks at the camera. Could understand him looking for a few seconds to see how they were wired, what brand, what they might be able to see, etc. But he stood there just looking at a single camera for about 14 minutes. My old apartment had incredibly unprofessional repair staff. I'd call them because my AC would be out and they'd come over while I was at work rather than at the agreed upon time while I was home, and they'd use my bathroom, poke around through my stuff, type on my keyboard, mess around with my pets, etc. Needless to say, I was pretty livid. I set up a camera and caught them, then took the footage to the front office. I got a personal call from the owner of the apartment complex to apologize, and almost the entire repair staff got fired. Yeah, people going through my house and my stuff, alone with my pets, always makes me nervous. I can't blame you for turning them in for that kind of crap. Unprofessional. I have cameras in my house for my dogs that alert me when they bark and I can send them treats, etc. It basically functions as a security camera. Anyways, we went on a vacation and I warned our dog sitter in advance that we have cameras in common areas of the first floor of our house. One day during my trip at 3 a.m., I review my dog footage because I get an alert on my phone that my dogs are barking like crazy. I normally wouldn't creep, but I was concerned that maybe there was a fire or break-in or the woman fell, etc. The footage shows the dog sitter, a 70-year-old lady, running around the house swearing at my dogs in underwear only. My ex-wife sneaking up to the front door and peeking in the window at 10 p.m. one night, right after divorce was final. Probably a full 4 minutes worth, ordered 3 more cameras from Amazon that night. Worked in one of the oldest buildings in my college town. Was once a Wild West saloon where 2 people were documented to be killed in a shootout when the state was still a territory. In the 20s, it served as someone's house where the youngest daughter was documented to have died in childhood. When I got hired on, even the owner talked about it being haunted. I've never truly seen a ghost or had an encounter, but something about the building, particularly the office to the back and definitely the dirt basement, did not feel right to me at all. Not malevolent, but always off. My first closing shift, I get promoted to key holder. I'm also helping a new girl who has really taken to the whole ghost spiel she got a few days prior to heart. This particular store ranged from small little treasures that were almost too easy not to steal to a few items that cost 5 times the going rate for tuition at the local college. Naturally, the owners had 15 cameras installed that played on a live feed in the office and in the storefront for customers to see to know they weren't being slick. I'm counting the drawer and she's anxiously watching the security camera, just waiting to see something crazy. I'm putting the final totals into a calculator and she screams. She calls me over to the camera feed and there it is on the top right feed. Very clearly, there is what looks like a figure in a white boxy nightgown type dress. We are both near peeing our pants, but we can't leave. There's still a bunch of stuff to get done, and the owners and the opener tomorrow will be peed if we just ditch the last half of the closing responsibilities on account of a ghost. We watch it, stunned as it appears to sway. Suddenly, a huge spider obscures the view of the figure. We, 2 grown women, have been near tears for what feels like ages because we've been watching a spider web that the AC blew into the view of the camera. That wasn't the twist I had expected, and I loved it. I mean, spiders are scary too. Not exactly little girl ghost coming to get you scary, but scary nonetheless. My stepdad woke up one morning and found a bucket of fried chicken in our driveway. For some reason, he didn't think it was odd at all. I did and checked our camera recordings. Ends up being this lady walked up to my car at like 3 a.m. with a bucket. She was obviously homeless and probably on drugs. When the camera light turned on, she yelled, "I brought you some chicken," and left the bucket on the ground by my car. To this day, I wonder what was up with the chicken lady. Wasn't a security cam, but this one time my roommates set up a webcam in the living room, which was motion activated because we had 4 dogs in the house and at least one of them was crapping on the carpet. 3 of the dogs were pretty average on intelligence, but one of them was too smart for her own good. So we all cruise out and do our thing, and upon returning we check the carpet and there is what appears to be a little chocolate smudge on the carpet. Of course, we were all out together, so we knew no one would have made a poor attempt to clean up any accidents, so naturally we checked the video. And the culprit ended up being the smart dog. She does her business, and right as she's about to walk away, she stops, turns her head, and looks directly at the camera, and after a moment of realization, she turns her butt around and gobbles up her crap to remove the evidence. I was looking for a lost calf out in the woods one night and found a game camera I didn't recognize on the property. It got a few pictures of me. It was my boss's friend, and she had forgotten to tell me. My boss had a good laugh when her friend checked his camera and nervously told her there was a guy with a shaggy beard and a handgun wandering around the woods in the middle of the night. Guy walked up to my front windows, put his ear against it, then walked away. I see him around the neighborhood sometimes, not sure what his deal is, but he hasn't come to my place again so far. Honestly, this might be the creepiest one. The fact that you've seen him around but don't know him beyond that, and he came up and listened at your window? I don't know, that seems awfully suspicious to me. This is almost one of the reasons I don't want a security camera. Basically, nothing ever happens in my neighborhood. I don't want to have to accidentally record some demon walking on all fours with their joints going the wrong way just to see if the same guy dropped off my UPS package as every other day. Breaking the rules, but I caught something that ended up being surprisingly wholesome. I have a brick house and the mailbox is bolted to it. Somehow one side managed to come loose, so it had been dangling for a couple of weeks since I just didn't have a chance to get to the hardware store. I get home from work one day and it was bolted back properly. I checked to see if there was a note or anything, but nope. On the one hand, I was really grateful, but on the other was kind of spooked / wondering if I was totally losing it and maybe it had never come loose after all. Also, I've kind of half kidding, half serious thought my house was haunted, so this definitely added to that feeling. A couple of days later, I remember I have cameras and could check to see if they caught anything. Turns out an older guy with a tool belt just casually walked up, fixed my mailbox, and left. He wasn't there for more than 3 or 4 minutes. Eventually, I was able to piece together that one of my neighbors was having some roofing work done, and this was one of the workers. I guess he had just seen my mailbox dangling for a few days and decided, since I wasn't making any moves to fix it, he would. I hadn't been living there for that long, and it really warmed my heart to know someone would go out of their way to perform a simple good deed for a stranger. Hey, I'll take any little bits of heartwarming goodness on this channel that I can get. We get plenty of scary and awful stuff, so it's nice to have a little reprieve. Bit of backstory. I rent the upper floor of my best friend's house, so we see each other quite often, and I use the kitchen and the washer and stuff like that. One day while we were at uni, someone broke into the place. Nothing was stolen, but the house was a disaster. So I checked the footage of the camera we have out front. See the guy go in? Don't see him come out. Called the police. Checked the entire house. Nowhere to be seen. I don't have neighbors to add to the strangeness of the situation. Well, turns out the guy was on the roof. He was up there a good week before he realized anything. He is now facing trial. I'm a property manager, and one of the communities I worked at had cameras installed. One night, a person in all black clothes with their hood up gets let in by a resident. Black clothes goes to the elevator, goes up to a specific floor, then to a specific door, and knocks. Resident opens the door, black clothes produces a pistol, and bang, shoots him in the face and walks off. Back on elevator, out the same door, never looked up. Creepy as F. It started out being slightly creepy, but it ended up being really funny. I have external cameras with night vision all around my house. My family and I were on vacation several time zones west of our house. One night, right before I was about to go to bed, I got an alert and logged in to see what was going on. I saw a car pull into my driveway and 4 people get out, acting all sneaky and stealthy. It was well past midnight at my house, and this didn't look good. I called my wife and kids in to watch it. I was preparing to call the police in my hometown. We saw them all sneak away and toilet paper a neighbor's house. They then ran back to their car in my driveway and sped off. My family and I laughed so hard. It was a highlight of that vacation. We have Wise cameras with motion detection. Every now and again, I'll get an activity tagged motion or person, and it's just a 5-second clip of absolutely nothing. Especially weird on a still night. Not creepy, but actually funny. About a month ago at 2 a.m., a hedgehog came and rolled around our yard, destroying all the green grass in front of my porch. I mean, that could be scary if the hedgehog was blue and had weirdly human teeth and eyes. Trust me. Meow. Guy living inside one of the broken down cars out by the barn at my parents' house during the winter. We lived about 10 miles out from the closest town that has anything to offer, and from there, many miles to any other town. He was likely a drifter or homeless, and we honestly didn't do anything about it. Just kept mindful that he was there during the nights in case something shady ever went down, but nothing ever did. I think he just needed somewhere to sleep that wasn't outside. It was surely still freezing cold, but better than the alternative. He left and never returned after winter passed. When it had been a few weeks since we saw him on the cameras at night, we went and looked inside of the car. So many empty cans of Beanie Weenies. I hope he managed to find his way onto another area that didn't turn him away or was able to get himself into a job in a real home. Not me, but my mom. We're renting out this barn house from this couple who are living in Canada for a few years. They have CCTV in the office. One day, she saw a creepy old man who she never met before waving at her through the CCTV. She eventually found out he knew the people we were renting the house from and didn't realize they moved to Canada. But we were spooked for a while. Well, today I caught two random adult men in my backyard measuring the fence or something while I was home alone. As a girl, you could imagine all the scary scenarios going through my head. Luckily, they left right when I saw them on the security camera. Guess they were done measuring the fence, and I told my dad. Turns out it was just the neighborhood gardeners, and they called my dad to let him know they were there. But no one thought to let me know they'd be here. Way to give me a heart attack. Another time, I caught some random woman in my backyard, but this time, this creep was trying to look into the windows. I felt like my soul left my body when I saw her. She looked mad, and she wasn't alone. Some guy was waiting in a pickup truck for her. She left, never saw her again. A neighbor came up and pressed his face into our door to look inside. I am a young woman and disabled and was home alone at this time. His face print was still there when I looked. I know people would say, it's just some weirdo neighbor being nosy, but this is the kind of crap that freaks me out. Slightly off neighbors that you don't really know always seem to be the people that end up being monsters. Not saying you're a monster if you're a little weird, but there are real creeps out there giving awkward people a bad name. My son started sleepwalking and having night terrors when he was around 11. Always looks odd to see him walk around in the middle of the night. So, we have two cameras at the back of my house. 3 people show up with horse masks on and spend probably 15 minutes pretending to be horses, then left a small bag of meat with flowers in it. My wife was so freaked she didn't sleep for a week. Not creepy, but my dad has caught my mom slipping on ice while taking the garbage can up and down the driveway multiple times. He always emails the clips to me with the subject, "Mom fail." My parents live just outside a town of about 400 people, so fairly remote. One morning, they woke up and saw an alert from their motion-activated camera that is placed to see the area outside their bedroom. I should mention that their bedroom has a sliding glass door with a screen door that they sometimes leave open on hot nights. The camera footage shows a cougar walk up and stop about 10 feet from that sliding glass door. And the worst part is, the footage cuts off before the cougar leaves. Crappy cameras. Please leave your story in the comments. I would love to make a video on them in the future. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe.